Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So I want to take a look at the third verse of the shikshashtakam, and I still have a few mantras to complete this round, and so keep chanting a little bit here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hey Lance, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, I'm going to look at the third verse of Shikshashtakam. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. So a few minutes ago, everything was fine. I was chanting Hare Krishna, and I just read Krishna book and had these nice impressions about Vrindavan, and then the mind wanted something to do, and so it started to go over here. It started to go over there, and it was going some really strange places. So I said, I was yelling at that. I said, stop it, to the mind. Stop it. We're chanting Hare Krishna. Stop doing that. But the poor mind, it wanted something to do. I'm chanting Hare Krishna, okay? But the mind is not satisfied, because evidently my chanting's not deep enough. And so the mind starts going here and there, and I'm trying to chant, and I'm like yelling at the mind, saying, don't, like you would to a naughty child. Don't go, stop it. But the mind's just kind of like, so I'm still chanting Hare Krishna, but I started to think of a friend that I have who has some health difficulties right now. And so I was chanting Hare Krishna and asking the mind to help me pray that she gets some mercy from Krishna. And immediately the mind stopped doing all those other things. Okay, now the mind had something to do, and it would be quiet and let me chant Hare Krishna. And then I thought of somebody else who has another kind of difficulty, and so together was, well, let's pray for them that they can get Krishna's mercy. It was kind of like sneaking up on the mind, not directly confronting it and trying to control it, but pointing to another situation that's the solution for the suffering is, and we're going to help them. And then the mind's like, yeah, okay, this is a great idea, let's do this. And it backed off. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare, let's work together. This stupid mind. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare, mind's restless. In Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, from wherever it wanders, you have to bring it back. You have to practice bringing the mind back to Krishna. And it's going to wander. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram. And the mind's a rascal. Hare Krishna. When Bhaktisiddhanta say, beat it with shoes and broomsticks, whatever you have to do. But at one point I thought, yeah, it's possible to make friends with the mind. But it really isn't. I mean, you can make friends, but you can never put your guard down. It's like a guarded friendship. As long as the mind is, cooperating, then it's a good friend. But when it stops cooperating, Don't be attached to some sentimental idea that your mind's your friend, because it's not, if it's wandering. Then it becomes your enemy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So when it's your friend, it's a really good friend. But what is that saying? Somebody, sugar and spice. It's an old nursery rhyme or something. When she was good, she was really, really good. When she was bad, she was just awful. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is the mind. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So it was really great. I didn't have to fight with the mind, but got some intelligence how to redirect the mind. We're going to put that in our bag of tricks. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So I don't have to get dragged through the gutters and the sewers and the, oh God, stupid mind. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just listening with my eyes shut. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so Govinda Hari, Gopala Hari. Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya. This is the shikshashtakam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama. Hare Krishna. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kitaniya sadahari. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kitaniya sadahari. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Translation: O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna, Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate, I have no attraction for them. Okay, so that was the wrong translation for the wrong verse. But it was nice anyway. That was for the Nam Namakari Bahuda verse, number 2. So, let's try it again. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Krishna. So this is the translation. One should chant One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. What I wanted to do was look at the dictionary, because we use these words every day, humble, tolerant, false prestige, respect. We use these words constantly. We use them every day, and we think we know what they mean. I know what that means. Humble, I know what that means. Well, let's take a look. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. Let's see what the dictionary says humble is. And then we'll look at the synonyms and then the antonyms, what the opposite of humble is. Okay. So, as an adjective, this means having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. And as a verb, when you humble someone, you lower them in dignity or importance. And here are some synonyms. Meek, deferential, respectful, submissive, self-effacing, unassertive, unpresuming, modest, unassuming, self-deprecating. Some of these are kind of negative. Free from vanity, holding one's light under a bushel. And that's interesting because when Devaki was carrying Krishna, personality of Godhead, within her womb, while she and Vasudeva were imprisoned in Kamsa's prison, it is said that her brilliance, she was glowing with effulgence, but it was like a light under a bushel. So that indicates, although she was carrying personality of Godhead within her body, she was humble. So, that's the synonyms. What is the opposite of humble? Pompous, arrogant, conceited, proud. Not all of them are negative. Some are negative, just like some of them were negative for the synonyms. Self-deprecating, that's kind of a negative thing. But with the antonyms, the opposite of humble, some of them appear to be undesirable qualities, but some of them are good. So, noble and exalted. Noble and exalted. Elevated. That's an opposite of humble. It's elevated. Some of the more negative ones that can be seen as negative: proud, insolent, rude, like that. An exaggerated sense of one's importance. Unjustified claims, excessive or unjustified claims. So, one should chant in a humble state of mind. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, humble state of mind. Hare Krishna. Modest or less or low estimate of one's own importance. You chant submissively like that. Hare Krishna. And then going on with the verse, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. So the straw in the street, what is that? Is that somebody drank a Slurpee and they threw the straw in the street? Is that what he mean by straw in the street? I'm inclined to look at that sometimes in a street, like at the time these verses were composed, they weren't like asphalt highways. They were, a lot of them were dirt or gravel. The streets were, and in that kind of a street, little plants can grow up, little weeds grow up here and there. It's not a great place to grow, but if the seed falls there, that's where they grow. And that straw is the little blade of grass that's trying to grow in that very unfavorable environment. And everyone tramples on it. You know, the hand carts drive over it, the people step on it, and it's totally insignificant. It's trying to grow, it's in the streets, in the wrong place. But thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. Actually, Lord Brahma prayed like that after he realized challenging child Krishna by stealing the calves and the boys wasn't the best thing to do. Although he did it so that he could prove that this child personality, Krishna, is actually the personality of Godhead. It's explained that is actually why he did it. But still, it put him in a really awkward position with Krishna, to challenge Krishna like that. So in part of his prayers, when he got the mercy and put back in his position, humble position, he prayed to be a blade of grass, not even in Vrindavan, but outside Vrindavan, so that when the residents of Vrindavan, who relate to Krishna so intimately as their friend, their lover, their child, that when they would walk outside Vrindavan, they might step on him and he would get the dust of their lotus feet. So that's that humble, lower than the straw on the street. Lord Brahma prays like that. And one should be more tolerant than a tree. Tolerant than a tree. The tree can't do anything. It can't go anywhere. It's immovable. It can't really defend itself, although some of them grow thorns, but there's ways around that. Some of them are poisonous. Poison oak, you get a good rash if you try to. So they try to protect themselves, but it's very limited because they can be cut down. Insects come and eat them. The wind blows them over. They dry up in the rain. The sun, scorching sun. They can rot from too much rain. The lightning hits them. They can't do anything. And why it should be mentioned, tolerant than a tree, in relationship to chanting, because the trees and the plants, they can't chant. That kind of body, they have no opportunity to chant at all. But I was remembering that they can enter into kirtan, but it's by echoing when someone else is chanting. They echo. Like if you go in the forest and you call out, Krishna, you'll get a little echo back. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. They're entering the chanting that way. They should be more tolerant than a tree. But let's take a look at the word tolerant. Tolerant, I think we know what that means, but let's take a look. Well, that's interesting. The first definition, the second one is about to endure conditions or treatment, tolerate drought, But the first definition is showing willingness to allow the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. So, chanting Hare Krishna and tolerating, my foot hurts, I'm hungry, it's too hot in here. Tolerating, okay, tolerate. But the very first definition, when you look at it, is willingness to allow the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, that is very applicable. If you're tolerant, it means you accept people who are unlike you, and you put up with stuff you don't like. What are some synonyms for tolerant? Benevolent, broad-minded, benign, benignant, charitable, compassionate, complacent, patient, forgiving, open-minded. What is the opposite of tolerant? Bigoted, intolerable, unforgiving, narrow-minded, rigid, unbearable, impatient, strict, unendurable, narrow. Intolerant. Hare Krishna. Showing willingness to allow the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. One should be more tolerant than a tree. I think that's what, when you hear more tolerant than a tree, immediately you think in terms of like the body. Like it's too hot, or it's too cold, or my foot hurts, or I have a headache, or like that. Tolerate the material, because it says should be more tolerant than a tree, and that's what trees, they stand in the rain, they stand in the wind, they get cut down, they can't, like that, tolerant. But if you really look at what tolerant means in terms of chanting Hare Krishna, willingness to allow the existence of opinions or behavior you do not necessarily agree with. And the next part of that verse, devoid of all sense of false prestige. Well, devoid is pretty clear. Let's look at false prestige. Look at both, prestige and false prestige. Well, false prestige, not in accordance with truth or facts, irregular or invalid, untruthful or lying. False prestige. So what does prestige mean? Reputation or influence arising from success, achievement, rank, or other favorable attributes, distinction of reputation, attaching to a person or thing, and possessing a cachet for others, for the public. What are synonyms for prestige? Authority, credit, influence, and weight. Prestige indicates power exerted over the minds or behaviors of others. Prestige implies ascendancy given by conspicuous excellence or reputation for superiority. Yeah, prestige. It indicates the way others see you. Prestigious, successful, authoritative, influential, an authority, accredited, prestigious. There's prestige. So false prestige would be a phony. Not in accordance with truth or facts. Untruthful. So, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Not genuine, not real, not natural, artificial, fake. Being intended to be misleading or deceptive. Based on mistaken or irrelevant ideas or facts. False. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So the idea of deceiving in the eyes of others, whereas real prestige means there is success. They do represent exactly what they say. So to chant Hare Krishna, it should be devoid of all sense of false prestige, like I'm an authority, I'm successful. False prestige. Deceptive, being deceptive. You should be ready to, because that becomes more important than actually surrendering to Krishna, because there's your false ego in there. That I am seen, with prestige. Where did Krishna go? Whatever. And should be ready to offer all respect to others. I was reading yesterday, I was looking up the offenses to the holy name, and the first is to blaspheme devotees who dedicate their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord. And it didn't say, pure devotees. It just said devotees who are trying to propagate the holy name of the Lord. They're dedicating their lives. So to blaspheme such devotees, and I looked up the word blaspheme, and the main definition involved disrespect. So one should be ready to offer all respect to others. The opposite of that would be should not disrespect others, and if you take it a step further, should not blaspheme. So this fits in with that first verse, that first instruction about offenses to chanting. And what's wrong with offenses? Then there's no taste. The taste goes. Because they're like weeds that come and choke out the taste for chanting Hare Krishna. So, without blaspheming others, in a humble state of mind, lower than the little clump of grass that grows in the street, more tolerant than a tree, you go on, believe what you believe. I don't believe it, but it's your thing. Devoid of all sense of false prestige. It's not important to be honored. It's not important for chanting. You should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Oh, Krishna, I just wanted to take a look at that. That was fun. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. The theme of that verse really does have to do with how you relate to others, how a devotee relates to the other people. It really does have to do with that. How we associate with others is all in that verse. Humble, lower than the straw on the street, tolerate others, what they think and what they believe, tolerate, and devoid of false prestige. It's not important for you to bow down to me. It's really not important. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. It's important for you to chant Hare Krishna. That's what's important. And be ready to offer all respect to others. That really has to do with how we relate to each other. Hare Krishna, Hare, how we can get that taste for Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. Well, that's life in the slow lane. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What was that old little ditty? Like, you take the high road, I'll take the low road. I'll get there before you. Hare Krishna. Actually, I'm trying to, sing the glories of the slow lane. Hare Krishna. There's lots of singing going on for the fast lane. Let's do a little glorifying the slow lane here. I remember, like, when I lived in the city, with Boston specifically, to get around that city, like New York, you have to take the subways, And sometimes those subways can get, like, really, really crowded. Especially, time to get off work, time for lunch, time to go to work. It's like really jam-packed. So a train will come into the station and all the people are standing there and they want to get in that train. They don't want to be late. And you really have to fight. If you come and, and there's like a big crowd, you can't get in. It's like, and they all squish into the train, and it pulls out of the station, and you're standing there. You didn't get in. But in a few minutes, another train comes, and there's all people behind you, all pushing and shoving to get in, and you're right in front. And they practically push you into the train. You don't have to fight to get in. They push you in. Because Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I just always found that amusing. And the last shall be first, Hare Krishna. Oh God. Just keep chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.